Hello, Lean Project Management. My name is Nick Baxter, and this is my presentation for our project that we selected this semester. The project that I selected this semester was the completion of two rooms in the upstairs of my house. They were in a current state of in a stick framed and insulated, and it has been my job to move them towards a more finished direction. Let's dive on in. For my presentation, we will look at my project purpose, and we will also look at defining my project. These two will be encompassed by the project charter, which I was able to label out, why I was doing my project and exactly defining what that project entailed. We will also look at my cause and effect diagram that we submitted for the class. I thought it was important to see all the aspects that needed to come into place for this project to get to the direction where I was headed. We would look at the risk management plan, which was honestly one of the key factors of planning my project. Risk was something that I had to greatly consider before moving forward my project. We'll take a look at my project management tracker. We'll also look at the Kanban board that I created for this project. I created a Kanban board because I thought it was a great way to just kind of track the completion percentage of my project. We'll talk more about it when I get there. We'll also look at roadblocks and speed bumps. I encountered several along the way. We'll cover many of them, but we definitely won't cover all of them that I encountered. We'll also look at the next month going forward. My project is planned to be completed by the end of this year, so we'll examine the next month. When it came to the purpose of my project, I really had to ask myself, why am I doing this? Why am I setting out to finish these two rooms? And I thought the project charter was a great way for me to actually think through this process. I knew when I was choosing this process that there was a reason for doing the project, but I never considered all the reasons and compiled them together and really let it drive me. Like I said in one of my discussion posts, I had been putting off this project for about a year now just because I never really saw the focus behind completing the project. The project charter allowed me to actually sit down and list out all the reasons why this project would benefit me and my family and add things of value to our house. As it came to the what, the project charter was also a great way to list all the tasks that I needed to complete throughout my project. In general, I had thought about the project and looked at everything that needed to be done, and knew the state that I wanted to get the rooms in, but I never sat down and really focused on and considered every step that it would take to get the rooms in those states. I like the project charter because it gave me a way to sit down and detail out everything that I needed to be done. The measurables and KPIs was a great section for me because I really didn't understand how I would measure my progress. But actually looking at the completion of all the I made a schedule and milestones in my charter, and it gave me a way to actually measure how well I was doing and in my project and how we were moving along towards the final goal. So for my project, a lot of things had to come together for me to be able to do this. One thing in particular was actually having all the correct tools and knowing how to actually do some of the processes within my project. I am by no means a carpenter or any kind of construction worker. I have recently worked in a not a construction company, but a builder supply, where I've learned several tips and trades and tricks here along the way, just kind of doing some things here and there. But I definitely did not know what I was doing. So actually going out and looking at a cause and effect diagram, I actually had to look into what needed to be done to complete my task, like each individual task, all the tools, the people that I need to talk to, all the information I needed, the process that were going to be undertaken to do these tasks, and looking at finding a way to measure how well I was doing. Environment went into play because I didn't know how much time I was really going to have to put into this project. I actually started a new job this semester and began graduate school. This is my first full semester of graduate school, and I really didn't know how those things were going to affect my time that I could put into my project. Another thing to look at was kind of the processes information. I really had to research what I was doing, make sure I was doing the right things. this was a big step for me, and kind of leads me into my next point, which was my risk management plan, which was key for this project because I had a lot of places that I could mess up and really hurt my budget or end up messing up my house. The risk of my project was the fact that a lot of these new processes were very new to me. I've had a little bit of experience, but when I say a little, I mean very minimum. Um, just kind of hearing guys talk through work of how they do the processes and maybe helping somebody out here and there for like 5 or 10 minutes doing some of these. So the risk of doing these processes, um, I could easily damage a lot of the stuff that I was doing. It was easy for me to, cut a wire or easily for me to break a piece of drywall or even a piece of trim and actually have to go out and buy more material. And that was kind of one of the key goals of my project was kind of keeping my budget down. I didn't want to go over budget, and I was having a lot of pressure from my family. Hey, we're going to keep this low cost. That's why we're going to do it ourselves. So going out and defining like everything, every kind of problem I could run into was a great way for me to base my research off of. Okay, so how do I avoid going and tackling like drywall? How do I avoid bad pressure on a place or putting up the drywall and avoid from cracking it or breaking it and having to go out and buy another piece? It was just important for me to go out and do a lot of research to make sure I was doing everything right. Not only for the fact that I was trying to keep budget down, but to actually make sure that I was completing the processes right. The project tracker was a neat tool for my project in the sense that my project was based off kind of a schedule and milestones. The project tracker actually allowed me to put a date on the schedule and see how many days I could spend on each part of my task to remain on schedule. And I thought it was a great way to lay this out and see where you need to be along the way. The percentage for me kind of fell flat though. I felt it was just related, the percentage of the task that was related to a process was a little skewed by the number of days spent on that process. I kind of laid out a little more time on the processes that I thought were going to be a little harder for me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they took up the most chunk of my process. Um, I really liked the fact that you had the names of the people that were involved with the tasks. This kind of helped me lay out who could help me on what task. A lot of this project was actually done by myself just because we were saving a lot of, trying to do a small budget, and it was kind of on our own time. I know everybody's busy, so I kind of had to do a lot of it by myself, but it allowed me to look at a few steps and say, okay, here's who I can have help me with this step and help me walk me through or help me, do a task instead of having me doing it by myself. Um, I also like that they gave you a budget at the bottom. That's pretty cool. None of the other things we actually did included the budget as much as this one did. The project charter, kind of had a measurement as how you can do stuff. You could have included your budget and stuff or your restraints in that. This actually had a way to look at and mark your budget. The project tracker is really cool, but I actually took it a step further and kind of edited it into a Kanban board, and I thought this was a good way to look at what percentage of the project was done compared to the percentage of the project that percentage of the project was that process. So I actually took the project management tracker just a little bit step further and actually created a Kanban board. But in doing so, I actually put a percentage total to the processes and how much I had actually completed of those processes compared to the total of the project. And it's not the prettiest thing right here, but it's kind of more of a visual thing for myself. It just kind of gives me numbers to go along with. This is the one I made for this current week. It gave me a better idea of how much of my completed project is. And where I'm sitting around about now is about where I need to be at about 70% of my project. This was a little different from what my project management tracker said. Just the percentages that were assigned to the processes were not quite what I thought they should be. So I took it a step further and added them to this Kanban board. And I thought this was a great way to just kind of set out and see what I had left. I still had to start, what I had to finish, and what I had already finished. And actually the finish part is one of the parts that I really liked. One thing I've struggled with throughout this project is actually understanding the processes that I've already finished compared to what I have left. Most of the time I'm just focusing on what I have left instead of actually admiring the work that I've already completed and have done. So, like I said in my outline, I've had several speed bumps and roadblocks and even a road change along the way. It feels like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. Murphy's Law has been a big pain in my butt through this project. Just like Dr. Bullington said in one of his Panaptos, everybody's got a plan until they get hit. He's quoting Mike Tyson there, and I couldn't agree more. I've got hit, and man, I had a plan, and I'm trying to just keep it all together. At the beginning of the semester, I actually had to get stitches in my hand. To save you guys a little bit, I did not include that picture. For people like me that have weak stomachs, that's not the cool thing to see. But I had to get stitches, and that kind of put me down for about 2.5, 3 weeks, maybe right there at the beginning, and pushed me behind a little bit. Me and my stepdad have actually had a couple communication problems. Well, we will talk things out, and I think we're on the same page, and he'll agree with me, and I'll agree with him, and then we'll part ways, and I'll get ready to do something, and he's like, why are you doing it that way? He's like, well, I've changed my mind, and he's wanting to do a process a different way, so we've actually had to change the schedule around just a little bit, do things a little differently, but we've actually had to change the path, and I've been able to successfully do that and kind of maintain that schedule, and the last half of my semester has actually been a little less stressful than my first half semester was. Like I said before, I had inconsistent time to put forth on my project. I wasn't sure what was going to happen at the beginning of the semester as far as how much time I would have to put forth towards this project. The second half of the semester has been much more relaxed, a little more time, not as time consuming, and I've been able to put a lot more effort into it, and that structure has actually allowed me to restructure my work week and put a little more time into this project and catch up on some of those things that I've gotten behind in. Like I mentioned just a moment ago, with speed bumps and roadblocks, I've actually had a road change, which I actually had to go back and redefine the path that I was on of my schedule to actually allow myself to cut out a couple things that were maybe a little more time consuming and we wanted to put a little more effort into and actually change them up to allow us to have more time on the more key factors of this project. Example being, we wanted to put trim on before we painted just because when you go down, the way we're doing it, we're having to cut the trim and put it on the walls, put nail holes and stuff on it, and it's kind of getting a little dinged up. And we're actually having to go back and retouch up the paint just in some areas, and it's taking a little more time, not necessarily a ton, but we wanted to put them on the walls and go ahead and tape the walls and then paint them. So we had to actually switch that in the schedule, and we had to redefine like how we were going to complete this task on time. And that was what I was talking about when I was saying we had to do a road change. We actually had to redefine the schedule and the critical path to get to the end of the project. So I'll keep this very brief, but this was actually the very first pictures we ever took in our house. For whatever reason, I was not thinking this through and did not take beginning pictures of when I started my project. So this is kind of the open layout of the house, or the two rooms that I'm doing. The one picture on the left is the bonus room, that is the bigger of the two rooms that we're redoing. And on the picture to the right, you're actually in the bonus room, and you can see the other room that I'm redoing on the right over there. That is actually going to be a bedroom. This is actually like the beginning stages of the project before insulation was put in. Again, these are pre-project pictures. Like I said, I forgot to take the other pictures, but this is a couple other views of that room to the right. These are a couple of in-progress pictures of the bonus room that is actually after we finished drywall, and you can see onto the bottom right picture, I'd actually started painting the closet because I had forgot to take pictures again. So I had literally tried to start painting the closets before I even thought, hey, maybe I should take a picture. This is actually a workout room for me, so you can see the workout equipment in it. We decided not to take all the workout equipment out. We just kind of left it in. It's kind of been sliding around left and right here and there, just moving it out of the way as we've been going along with this project. It'd probably been easier on us if we would have took it out, but it is what it is. We've made it this far, and it's still in the room currently. These are a couple pictures from the other room. As you can see, I've actually had a couple friends come and help me. I mentioned on one of the later discussions in our class that I was having a hard time having some people come over. So I decided to ask a couple friends if I could offer them pizza or some snacks, just kind of have like a paint. I called it a paint party because everybody was coming over to paint. But I offered like pizza, snacks, whatever they wanted, just kind of come over for a couple hours and just help me paint. And they were grateful enough to oblige and come help me. and it really saved a lot of time in the end time. And it's actually allowed me to kind of catch up on a couple things that I've been behind on, and really try to fit back into that schedule that I want to stay on. Looking forward over the next month or month and a week right now, we're actually looking pretty good on schedule. Like I said earlier, the combo board really allowed me to look at total percentage of the project that I have completed, what I have left, and I'm about 70% complete, and I've got about 30% more, and I'm happy with where that's at. I've actually got planned to do a couple things after tonight and tomorrow on my project because it's the weekend. I plan on working on just getting some more doors up and painting the baseboards a little more, and kind of knocking out a little bit of percentage of that. And like I said, we're looking good on track. I've got a few more doors to hang. I've got the casing to put around the doors that I'm going to hang. I got to put that up as well. I also have to put up 2 sets of window casing around 2 windows. I have to. We're still looking. Those are the in processes that I'm kind of still working on. That we're working on getting those finished. We still have to find floors. We've been looking for floors, but we've not found them yet and went and got them. And we also have to hang the baseboard. So as far as on schedule goes, I've been able to add a little more time to my project these last few weekends because people have been more adapt to help me. It's been awesome. I've had some people come out and just kind of volunteer a little bit of time here and there. And I've also been able to get a little bit of help from some family friends. My stepdad and one of his friends actually just remodeled a house. The guys I used to work for, both contractors that have a ton of equipment, and I've been able to call them or even my grandpa just to ask for a little bit of help, just kind of guidance here and there, just from stuff I've struggled with and I've found a little bit of problems. And it's been a great way to just kind of get through those stuck moments. Kind of went back to that risk management plan. I knew the risk was there, and I planned around. I did a little bit of research, and no matter how much research you do on some of this stuff, you're going to face problems that you didn't know you were going to occur. And the fact that I had a plan to attack that, like calling my grandpa and all that, even once I knew that I would face risk that I wasn't for sure about, has been great. It's been a great way to tackle it and keep moving forward with my project. Looking forward, I have actually planned a little more time towards the project instead of actually just trying to fit in time here and there between other tasks like the beginning of the semester. I've actually planned more time going forward, trying to put myself back onto that same schedule, and it actually looks like I'm going to hit my December 31st schedule date. I've hit several speed bumps along the way and roadblocks, but it's all about overcoming and finding ways to get back on track and on target. I know you guys probably have several questions. Feel free to ask questions. I will answer them as best I can, follow up with everything. I know there's several gaps here and there. I did not cover all the speed bumps and roadblocks or basically problems I incurred throughout this project throughout here. If you guys have some questions on that, I'll gladly answer those. One being, like this morning, the water heater decided that it wanted to leak all over our garage. So we've been tackling that all day. That's just been something fun. That's just one example of the many tasks that I've had to overcome this semester while trying to do this project. Feel free to ask, guys. Thank you for listening. And that's all I got.